The battle between the rebels and the Empire fiercely waged on for years on end. One of the peaks of these battles was what we now call in the comics world as the Hope Dies series. One of the vital characters in this cat and mouse game was Queen Trios of Shutorun. Having made a deal in secret with Darth Vader, connivingly she befriended Princess Leia of the Rebellion. In fact, she fooled the entire Rebel Alliance, with the rebels allowing her to build and outfit the Rebel Alliance fleet. In the end, she in fact betrayed her quote-unquote new allies by sabotaging their cruisers' vital systems, leaving them helpless and selling the rebels out to the Galactic Empire and to Darth Vader. This came to much of Darth Vader's pleasure. Queen Trios was now successful in her sabotage, being able to earn Leia Organa's trust at Jeddah and helping them prompt a mass mutiny of Mon Calamari ships. Before the rebels could even arm their new cruisers, Queen Trios instructed Vader to go ahead and attack, telling him that they didn't suspect nothing. When the rebels prepared to flee, their hyperdrives failed to work, rendering the cruisers immobile from the system. And that is when Vader arrived with his Death Squadron and Admiral Ozzel. What we learn quickly is that Vader was out for revenge, not just destroying the rebellion, but completely dismantling them to the core, a small payback for the Death Star debacle. Again, the sabotage went even further. The rebel fighters prepared to deploy when they suddenly realized that not only were the hangar doors not opening, but even the defense turrets weren't able to fire, going to the point where even their engines were not able to activate. This was because Leia had ensured that the cruisers were outfitted with Shutorun technology, meaning that Trios sabotaged them in the end. Their entire fleet was now left disabled, and for the Empire, it was like shooting fish in a barrel. These cruisers were now rendered useless against Vader's fleet, and Vader ordered the nearest cruiser to be destroyed. The first one to be bombarded was General Willard's cruiser. The Empire destroyed it with ease. When Admiral Ozzel asked Vader what was the next target, Vader simply responded with hope. Hope dies next. When the Empire's Star Destroyer began engaging the other Mon Calamari cruisers, Queen Trios attempted to get off the space docks on her ship. However, at that moment, the rebel forces boarded their vessel, and she was forced to escape in an escape pod. Nothing, though, could get past beyond the TIE fighters and Vader's TIE Advanced. The rebels had now completely collapsed. Their cruisers were not working, and even the telecoms were being jammed. No communications could go past, and nobody could even physically communicate with the generals because of the TIE fighter blockade. Suddenly, the Millennium Falcon arrived at the system. One last attempt could be made by Han Solo to send communication. The rebels discovered they could get the cruiser's hangar's door to open by flying a ship towards it. Han flew the Falcon through the fleet and took on some TIE fighters before flying towards General Dodonna's cruiser. Even Vader had engaged the Millennium Falcon and hit the ship's stabilizer, sending it spiraling out of control. However, to Vader's dismay, in the end, the Millennium Falcon was able to manually and luckily land inside Commander Lajaye's cruiser. Immediately, Vader ordered the Imperial fleet to close in on the Rebel fleet instead, and after being informed that Queen Trios was now returning to the Executor, Darth Vader wanted to return to the ship where he intended to meet her personally. The problem with this was that the cunning rebels that they were, they had schemed a ruse. You see, the rebels took this opportunity and took Trios' shuttle, being able to bypass security and then board the Executor themselves. Their mission: extract all the files from the Executor, even the codes that were implemented into their own cruisers. While Leia was worried for a minute, in the end the rebel engineers were able to extract all the last files, all the codes, and now be able to reboot their cruisers. Real fast, the rebels now needed to head to a small docking bay in the Executor and hope for a shuttle that could fit all the rebels and therefore escape. Not realizing that now Vader was was after them. He had crushed the rebels that were standing guard, and with that, Leia and General Draven realized that the Sith Lord was now on board. Vader wasted no time in notifying the security forces of the Executor. Rebels were on board, and Vader could sense their panic. Everything was on lockdown. The rebels needed to cut through the doors in order to get to the docking bay. Unfortunately for them, there was only one TIE fighter left. In what was a heroic offer, Princess Leia said to General Draven that he should be the one to take the codes to the fleet. She will lead the rest who will remain and slow Vader down as General Draven gets away from the ship. But alas, General Draven refused, telling Leia that it's his responsibility too to defend the rebel ideals. He wants payback against Trios as well. Leia is better off surviving. Since she knew Queen Trios, she would know how to get back at her. And in the end, what really bugged General Draven, it always infuriated him that Jyn Erso got to be the hero of the rebellion, and he was the guy who, in the end, was wrong about her and about Rogue Squadron. A small little reference to the movie Rogue One, where General Draven not only didn't believe in the abilities of Jyn Erso, but also in the trustworthiness of Galen Erso, her father, as well. By what we see at the end of the movie, General Draven was left with his tail between his legs and proven completely wrong. Leia didn't know what to say at that moment. She thanked General Draven for everything, and she wished that they had more time. Perhaps they could have become friends. But there was no more time. General Draven positioned his men and told them to execute the Vader engagement drill. For what it's worth, they will try everything in this moment. A lightsaber cut through the door. Vader was forming a circle, and in the end, he came through. Vader was now here. The rebels started shooting with fear in their eyes, but the Sith Lord wasn't even fazed. He simply deflected their blaster bolts back at them, destroyed them with their own firefight. What remained now was only General Draven, standing there helpless. With a flick of the wrist, General Draven was lifted in the air, choking, a signature move by Vader. With his dying breath, General Draven went on to inform Vader that whatever he does, they in the end had won. His only mission at this moment was just to slow him down. Sarcastically, Vader congratulated him and snapped his neck in a second. By all accounts, General Draven had succeeded. Vader tried to approach the TIE fighter, but it was too late. Leia engaged the thrusters and left the docking bay, with Vader left to do nothing but watch on as the Imperial codes left with Leia. With that, you can imagine that the rebellion, or what was left of it, ended up being saved by Leia. But in her mind, the rest who were left behind and died for her to escape will always be remembered. The wish of General Davitz Draven came true. He was remembered as a hero, and not as somebody in the Rebel Alliance who harbored doubt, but instead showed courage. This all comes from the Hope Dies series in the Marvel Star Wars comic series. If you enjoyed, of course, leave a thumbs up down below, subscribe for dailies, leave a comment if you enjoyed, and what else would you like me to cover. Now you have an awesome day, boys and gals. I'll see you in the next video, and may the Force be with you until then.